Hello and welcome to UNA News 19, your source for updates that matter. I'm Brady Jordan.
And I'm William Hubbard.
Between Saturday and Sunday, a mass shooting took place in Nakhon Ratchasima, Thailand. 29 people have been reported dead, with 58 others wounded. The shooter was identified as a soldier in the Royal Thai Army. According to reports, the shooter began his rampage by shooting his commanding officer and two others at a military camp, as well as stealing military weapons and a Humvee afterwards. During his rampage, the shooter made social media posts on Facebook and even hosted a Facebook live stream, to which both were quickly taken down. The shooter was later shot and killed in a police standoff around 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. On Sunday afternoon, hundreds of people gathered near the mall to pay their respects and tributes to those who fell victim to the attack.
On Tuesday, Toyota and Honda began an airbag recall that affects over 3.4 million cars. Toyota claims that the fault lies in a defective electronic control unit, which is meant to deploy the airbags in the event of a crash. The automaker claims certain sounds can interfere with the device's operation, which in its words can lead to incomplete or non-deployment of the airbags and/or seatbelt pretensors. Toyota plans to get the recall underway in the U.S. by March, with those affected needing to get their cars fixed at their nearest Toyota dealership. This recall comes after a more recent one involving the two automakers with Takata airbags, which had the potential to explode and expel shrapnel towards the driver upon impact.
In Moscow, a man named Viktor Svirdov, who was suffering from cancer after being sentenced to 3 years in prison for corruption charges, pulled out his gun and shot him. Alexander Konosky said that the medical documents about Viktor should have been seen by the judge. So court officials have challenged that the defendant's medical condition was not seen by the judge.
At the age of 101, Katherine Johnson has passed away. Johnson was a pioneer at NASA and the National Advisory Committee of Aeronautics. With Johnson and other black women helped make critical calculations that launched our astronauts into orbit. But as the challenges they fought to inspire generations of women, she was also inspiration for the film Hidden Figures.
Communities across North Alabama are still having trouble with water, as continuously heavy rainfall has left many roads and bridges closed. Places like McFarland Park in Florence have been hit the hardest, with the Tennessee River in Florence reaching numbers of over 5 feet above flood stage. Footage captured at the park's entrance showcase a marina underwater, with the Eternal Flame statue looking more like a floating buoy than a piece of concrete. Entrance gates were closed since roads to the park looked more like boat ramps. All of this on the 1-year anniversary of the North Alabama's 300-year flood, in which waters from the Tennessee River reached Savannah, Tennessee Highway in front of the park. However, the overflow this year was much less impressive. Waters in this flood didn't even reach the highway and began to recede shortly after rainfall stopped.
Meanwhile, a justice is being served for more than deserving police officer who was told by the police commission to tone down your gayness, was awarded $20 million in a sexual orientation discrimination lawsuit. Lieutenant Keith Wildhaber, after realizing the police chief would retire, decided to cut the amount of $20 million to $10 million. The police officer will end up getting around $6.4 million, and his attorney will get about $3.8 million. The county will have 2 months to pay Wildhaber and his attorney $7 million.
In Oakland, California, a man charged with murder. John Lee stated, "I stabbed both of the females in the crew because I believed they would not give his grandmother back the money." The man pleaded not guilty because he said he was insane and that has had multiple accounts of voices telling him what to do, but no recollection of who the voices were. John Lee claimed that the two ladies he stabbed were none other than aliens, so he will remain charged with 1 count of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. For the weather today, it will be cloudy with a chance of rain.
In Brantley, Alabama, Dustin, a 34-year-old, was serving a 15-year sentence of obstructing justice and using false identity in Marshall County. Morton escaped from elbow work release on February 17th before being captured Tuesday after more than a week from escaping.
A group of Philippine students turned dog poop into bricks to help lower construction costs and lower the amount of feces in the streets. Michelle Genovese, heir of the food company Hot Pockets, was sentenced to 5 months in prison for paying bribes in the college admissions scam. Genevieve paid Rick Singer $100,000 to cheat her daughter's ACT scores, in addition to $200,000 to have her daughter be accepted to the University of Southern California as a fake volleyball beach recruit. In October, Genevieve pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit mail fraud, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering.
A Canadian telescope detects a radio signal 500 million light years away.
This project is an inside look at Ark of the Shoals, a center located in Muscle Shoals. They are known for taking care of folks with disabilities. The purpose of Ark of the Shoals is to provide a personalized, appropriate, and quality service for people with developmental disabilities. The Ark of the Shoals believes that people with disabilities have the same rights as all other people. They should be able to live, work, and participate in environments that promote as much independence as possible, in the least restrictive, most appropriate setting.
Mike Stamps. I was February 12th, 1964. I am the executive director at the Ark of the Shoals here in Tuscumbia.
And can you kind of jump briefly into your childhood and talk to me kind of what brought you
Okay.
here?
Well, I grew up in Lauderdale County. I was one of 7 kids. We just grew up. I was about every 2 years. My sisters and my brother and I are 2 years apart, and we came through, in the 70s, and I was able to go to college. I graduated in 1987. I was the first of my family to graduate college. I'm kind of proud of that fact. It set a tone for future generations in our family that I was able to do that. And I spent 31 years in public education and retired from that. And I came here in 2018, became the director here at the Ark of the Shoals.
And what's some of the work you do here at the Ark of the Shoals?
Well, some of the, first of all, let's give you just a little brief history of what the Ark of the Shoals does and where we came from. The Ark of the Shoals was first formed in the 50s by a group of mothers who wanted their children that had disabilities to be able to public schools, and they could not. It was not allowed at that particular time. They formed a school here called Hope Haven. Here at Hope Haven, they were the teachers, and their children attended here.
Thank you for joining us today at UNA News 19. Your news matters.
Join us again at 6 for the latest on-campus and breaking news.